and humor me by going to the bottom where it says to and making sure you're addressing your comments to all panelists and attendees. That's the second option on mine. And just say hi. Tell us you're here and where you're joining from. In Evanston, it's kind of cold and gray, and we're supposed to be expecting like 6 to 8 inches of snow. So depending how you look at it, that's exciting. Or hi, Dustin from Indiana. Hi, Michelle. Welcome back. Hi, Nicole from Michigan, and Lisa from New Jersey. Hi, Janine from Florida, and Kelly from Conroe, Texas. Happy to have you here. Hi, Emily from Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. Seems like we're coming. We got all time zones now. We don't have Hawaii yet, but we have pretty much all time zones. We have Sandra from Los Angeles. Welcome again, Sandra. And Robin. Yay for snow. Well, Robin has a snowmobile, so she loves snow. Some of you, I want like Sandra and Emily and Kate, Kelly, and check your addressing, because you want to be sure to put it to all panelists and attendees so everybody can read it and everybody can know you're here. Otherwise, everybody's reading and they're saying, well, I see Caitlin, but I don't see Lynette. How did you say hi to Lynette? So anyway, it's 12 o'clock. We're going to get started. This is Be Strong Family's webinar series, Staying Strong and Positive for Ourselves and Our Children. And I'm here with Yoli Maya. I'm your host, Kathy Wolf. I don't know why it always says co-host there, but I am your host, Kathy Wolf. And Yoli is here today. She's going to be holding space and teaching us class 2 of Accessing Our Emotions, Exploring Rhythm, Time, and the Natural World. And the topic is grief. And today we are exploring the anger of grief. So before she gets started, I just want to remind those of you who've been here before and let everybody who this is your first time, let you know that you're welcome. We're glad you're here. We also really hope that you will engage. And the primary way to engage is the chat, which is why I've been like haranguing you to address it to all panelists and attendees, because it's the main way. And you can talk to each other, ask questions, answer questions in the chat. And then the other way to engage is to raise your hand. And if you raise your hand, Andrew, who is in the background, will unmute you. Then you'll need to unmute yourself, and then you can speak. And hi, Marianne. Hi, Lauren from Chicago. And Andrew's also launched a poll that we would appreciate your filling out. We just want to know whether you were here for the first class with Yoli on this topic. Yoli's been here as a presenter and as a teacher a number of times, but we started this series on 111. So if you were here last time, we were doing metal, right, Yoli?
Yeah, we were doing, well, we introduced grief as a superpower. So yes, the expression of grief.
Awesome. So actually, Yoli, you have 68% new people and 32% were here last time. So that just means that spending a little extra time with the intro, I think. And everybody can also have access to what Yoli's first class is available on our YouTube channel and also probably on our website. Andrew can clarify that. He'll put the link in the text. Oh, wow. Alex from Romania. First time here, and she loves Yoli. So Yoli, you have a friend from Romania who's here.
I got a little pocket of friends in Romania. It's true.
Awesome. So hi, Tammy. Hi, Lucia. Hi, Bree. So we have agreements, and this is just in recognition that we co-create this safe space together for us all to be as relaxed as possible so that we can be open and we can learn and we can grow and we can explore and let our guard down a little bit. So we ask that when you speak from your own experience, that you treat other people respectfully the way you want to be treated, and that you be here now with Yoli. And that means kind of avoiding multitasking. So if you agree to the agreements, do like Hilda and Danielle and Wanda and Nicole have done, and address it to all panelists and attendees. I'm going to continue saying all panelists and attendees, just because that it does help us when we get further along. Then Tammy won't be saying, where did you hear that? I didn't see that one. Right, Tammy? Awesome. Okay, so Yoli, thank you so much for being here. We're delighted to have you here, and take it away.
Thank you. So, friends, welcome. This is our power hour to just get exposed to maybe some new thoughts and ideas, some new conceptualizations on emotions. And I decided what I thought was really important and relevant was that in a series, in this short series of 5 parts, that we center grief. And just like in the description of this series, um, there we are experiencing an incredible amount of generational and intergenerational, I mean, like, load of grief. Is like this huge backlog, and I sure wish we could think, our suffering away and our obstacles away, but there's a reason we have these bodies. There's a reason we are embodied. And it's really about getting to know how this body works with our emotions and how they express. So last week, and go ahead and go to the next slide. So in each of these 5 classes, I'm going to present a little bit of theory. And what I decided to use as our theory or our point of inspiration is a model from East Asian medicine, sometimes called Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, classical Chinese medicine. The same format will show up in medical systems, healing systems from Japan as well. So we're talking about East Asia, where we have this 5-phase model. I have earth, metal, water, wood, and fire. And while we will often see these described as elements, really the conceptualization here is these are phases of time. They're moments in time, much like a season. We started our journey with metal. And one of the characteristics of metal, one of the ways that metal phase or metal time expresses itself is through grief. And we related that to the season that's associated with the metal phase, that is autumn, the fall season. And so sometimes we look and we're really fortunate. I'm also here in the Chicagoland area, speaking to you today from here in the Midwest, and we get a pretty dramatic display of fall here, and our colors and just a beautiful sight. Well, if anything, it's like all those colors and their display is a grand celebration of death, of a process that ends with the harvest and the fruit of the plants being produced, and then into the hibernation or the deep sleep of winter, signified by the water phase. Now, you'll see that there's lines that go between and around, from fire to earth, earth to metal, metal to water, water to wood, wood to fire. And they'll also see that there are lines that move between them. So if metal is our center point, we're going to center grief in this whole series. What we're going to do in each class is explore the relationship of, today, wood and metal. And they have a pretty exclusive relationship because metal actually controls wood, right? And so even if we looked at that expression in nature itself, how we live in the world, we may use a metal implement to cut wood or chop wood, right? So these two have a real direct connection that sometimes when the grief really overtakes, one of the first initial responses is anger, fury, right? After the initial shock, it's just like anger, fury, rage, disbelief. And that's because the metal is over controlling the wood, right? This excess, kind of this idea of excess. So let's go to the next slide. So just a little poetic centering. I feel truth, beauty, love, grief, anger, intimacy alive in my body. Women in the global south live in their bodies much more than we in the global north. Not as distracted by patriarchy's controlling images, they know power is in their bodies. I am deeply grateful for the women who showed me the way home. And this is author Jody Evans. Just a little something to reflect on there. Let's go to the next slide. So this is a model of your classic steps of the grief process. And it really is a bit of a misnomer that the steps will always go in this order. So just keep in mind, I like this image. I've updated this image from last class's slides because I think anything that offers us up a spiral or a circle becomes much more accurate in the embodied human experience we have of the emotion. So this one does start at that shock, panic, denial phase, and then this image shows the movement from anger, rage, little slippery slope there, depression, shame, stigma, then is a little like recovering guilt, and then this idea of arriving to a place of acceptance. So just a little comparing and contrasting that this is our common model of grief that's presented when we perhaps, meet a grief counselor in a medical setting, a healthcare setting, a faith-based setting, that this is the general model that we're presented with, that there's going to be these stages. There's going to be these different phases, again, these different moments in time that we're going to experience. So what are some little tools that we have for expressing, right? Because I don't know about you guys, anger, when kept suppressed, can be a very uncomfortable experience in the body, right? So think about suppressed anger in the form of like stomach upset and ulcers, or hypertension, high blood pressure, heat rising, headaches, skin conditions, rashes. Like, just think energy has been really stuffed down into the body and cut off from expression. What we really need is the ability to express. And anger, or wood phase, as we're relating in the 5-phase model, has a favorite expression, and it is shouting. So I hope you're ready to do a little bit of shouting today, and a little bit of relaxation, of course. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this was the model that I was talking about before. These slides will be available for download after the session today, so you'll have these for reference. And this is showing those 2 cycles that I was describing: creation cycle and control cycle. What you'll also see written here in these little in these circles are some names that might be familiar, some familiar organs. Last time we explored the lung and large intestine that are part of the metal phase. Today we'll be talking about liver and gallbladder that are associated with wood phase. And then we can see, there's some other common things: spleens and stomachs and kidneys and bladders and hearts and pericardiums, and then there's like, kind of triple heater, like, not that one, but it's kind of like metabolic function, kind of things. Now, this isn't a class on Chinese medicine. That would be fun, but this is just a little teaser / I'm introducing you to a framework so we can have a reference point for what we're doing. That, like, no, I haven't just like pulled this stuff out of the air, but I have drawn an inspiration from a medical system that's very much about this body is whole and complete as it is. Now, what kind of happens in our medical systems because our medical systems are broken into areas of specialization that, and I'm sure there are some people on this call today that have had the experience of feeling like going through a medical experience where you had to see several different practitioners of different specializations, and where you're left is feeling like your body is cracked up, like your body is just the sum of parts. Well, as a healer and as an educator of healers, what I want to promote is a framework, yes, an intuitive framework that is this body from start to finish. The whole time that you inhabit this body, you are whole. You are complete. You are not the sum of parts. There are dynamic, cyclic experiences that we have throughout the various systems of this body. So, what I want to introduce you to the idea of today is that liver, gallbladder, or lung, large intestine, that those aren't referring to organs per se, but they are softwares, different software, operating software that this body utilizes in its own cyclic ways. So where we're zeroing in is on this cycle of wood. Let's go to the next slide. Now this is one you're going to have to take your time to take in and play a little with. What I want to encourage you to do is play and not diagnose. Okay? Because this is a whole system of medicine. Now, last time we looked at the metal column, so let's take ourselves all the way over to the end and look at the wood column. As you can see, we've got these channels that are associated, seasons, colors, time of day. What I want to point out are a couple things we've talked about already. Some of the characteristics, like the function, include planning, decision-making. So when you're in the anger of grief, planning and decision-making could be really challenging to access, right? What do we need to support that? We need space to process and activities to express these emotions. We'll see that there's colors. The season is spring, the color is green. But really what I want to bring you on down to is the emotion is anger. The expression is shouting. Now, have you, I went to a workshop one time where we were, the whole point of the workshop was to do a lot of shouting practice. And for me, I left that space with nearly my voice lost. And I don't know how much I got out there. There was one thing I liked, which was the sacred tantrum, as she called it, where we were laying on our backs with our knees bent and just banging, banging the hands and banging the feet. Somewhere I liked that. I like martial arts a lot, so I think it was more just the banging part. But I'll say both the bottoms of my feet and my hands and wrists hurt after. So what I'm kind of getting at here is, how can we access this need to vocalize, right? This need to shout, this need to express in ways that are still restorative or even reflective, right? I'm always asking this question: where does the healing live? Right? Is what I'm involving myself in the activity of the most healing potential possible? Right? And so sometimes, as to not scare your neighbors, we do shouting practice into pillows. I don't know. It's not the same gratification for me because I can't hear the shouting. I need to hear it. So let's go to the next slide. This is just to give you some idea of the map of the channels, that these channels are throughout the body, and their junction place, like the junction box for this computer software, is your belly. So one of the first things we're going to do is some belly breathing and see if we can bring that breath down into the belly. And then we're going to bring ourselves to a standing position. This is all invitational. You can adapt to seated position as well if that's what you need to do for your body for whatever reason. We'll do some kind of vibrational shaking movements to move essentially fluid in fluid spaces, energy throughout the body. And then we're going to try some vocalization practices. And we're going to play with intonation. And I'm going to invite you to not shout from here, like way up here in the throat. But where we want to really come from is the belly. We want the shout to originate from as low into the pelvic bowl as we can. And then we can go to the next slide. What we're going to be teaching over the 5 series are this little tidy set of stretches that activate all of the channels in the body. And this is another way of moving the energy in the body and expressing. In particular, the wood phase, it needs a good shout. It just needs a good shout. That is the thing. Now, half the time when we're shouting, we tend to be shouting at someone, which then right after that generally follows with some guilt and shame, right? And so, yes, Sarah, this is why I'm telling you what we're going to do today, because if you want to just take a quick run right now and let anybody know around you, hey, I'm going to be doing some therapeutic shouting. It's not going to be that much because I'm not trying to kill all our voices today. But yeah, we're going to do a little bit of therapeutic, let's call it vocalization with some shouting. So if you have some folks, that are in your space that you just want to give them a little disclaimer, feel free to do that right now. And if you're in a space where you can't do shouting today, then you'll practice this. You'll give this a go at a time where you're in a space that you can. Right, so some of you are in workspaces at the moment that are shared, or you have sleeping babies, or sleeping adults, who knows, but like this. So the idea is that I'm resourcing you with tools, and we're inserting some theory in this as well to give ourselves a framework to work with. And then each time we gather, we'll repeat a version of a stretch that we've done before, so that by the final class, we will have learned all of the stretches in a neat and tidy little set of movements that highly recommend you do these every day. So if you've taken that moment to let the folks know, we're gonna come out of the share, the PowerPoint share, and it's just you, me, and my living room. That's exciting too. And want you to know that you're very welcome here today as you are. And let's find our breath. Okay. So I do think one of the easiest spaces to access the belly breath is in a reclined position. So if you are able to come laying down onto the floor, perhaps with your legs bent, bent knees will allow for your low back to relax. And we want to take a breath. And then as you exhale, how about a little bit of sighing? Couple breaths like this, breathing in. And as you're doing this sighing, I want you to play with the tone. Start a little bit higher and then let yourself go down. This could be an alternative to the more yang shout. So breathe into the belly. Breathe out. Breathe in. And I want you to notice higher intonation resonates closer to the throat. Lower intonation moves us down into the belly. So breathing in. Notice how I'm arriving all the way to what sounds like no tone, where it's just a very lowest tone vibration. It's almost just breath. Couple like this. So start a little lower so you can go longer. Are you noticing how you can't make the sound unless your jaw is open, your mouth is open? So we use something like this very similarly in natural childbirth techniques, low tone chanting. Let's do one more. Now let's just breathe. Feel the expansion and contraction of the belly with each breath. Breathing in. Breathing out, this body heavy and relaxed onto the floor. And then just notice the quality of your breath, the length of the breath. Inhale, exhale. Just notice space you're breathing to. See if you can bring the breath to the lower depths of the abdomen. Feeling the fullness of the breath in the belly, front, sides, and back. And then just take the arms overhead, have a nice big stretch. just noticing tension, places of tension, places of looseness. And if you want to stretch the legs and really have a big stretch. Oh, and it might be that we're back at this knees bent and letting the knees fall side to side. Turning the head in the opposite direction. And one more time to each side. Gently rolling to the side. So where do these channels, these liver and gallbladder channels, reside in the body? So the liver channel, or the yin wood channel, is right kind of down the center of the thigh, and it's going to end up about here in the abdomen. So like this inner thigh region, and then just about up here to the bottom of the rib cage. And then similarly, like a mirror, the yang channel, that gallbladder channel, this is a really long, very sort of active channel in the body. It starts up here, and it does these like zigzag movements, just like how we're asked to zigzag in life. Side lateral movement, like, oh, jump into this obstacle, oh, jump into this obstacle, right? So this one starts up here, and then it zigzags around the head. It comes a little bit to the outside of the occiput, and then it's going to go down the side body again in the zigzag pattern. And then it's going to come all the way down, like right down that favorite ligament whose name just escaped my mind, that's always so tight. And then we're going to keep going all the way down and all the way to the end of the foot. So big channel, responsible for lots of just maneuverability in the world, right? In review, last week we talked about the lung and large intestine channel, and those are up here on the arm, lung channel beginning here and coming down. Large intestine channel comes all the way up to here. So that's why if we get a little confused, like, but wait, my large intestine's down here. Yeah, that's the organ. But that's why we're talking about these channels, right? But then we said we're just going to pause the conversation there and not get too far into Chinese medicine. Okay, when you are ready, in the most supportive way possible, we're going to stand up. And I'm going to give a little scooch in the in-home studio here as we come into standing position. And in standing position, we introduced a practice last time to loosen up the channels. And this is a little bounce. Okay? So I've got some space between my feet, and I'm just going to start bouncing. I have to keep my knees bent, and I'm kind of sending my weight like back into the hips. And you want to get a jiggle. So this is not about holding in the jiggly bits. This is about honoring said jiggly bits and letting them bounce so that you can arrive to a place where it's like the bounce is just happening on its own. My feet are firmly planted on the floor, so I'm not doing this, right? That's too much effort. No, I'm going down. And I want to feel, we're going to sustain this for like a minute. And I want to feel this movement through as many parts and crevices of my body as I can. But especially like spaces, joints. In between the vertebra. What about like space inside the muscles? Can I feel throughout my abdomen? Not doing anything special with my breath. Right, and then I'm just kind of thinking about, oh, maybe I got lots of tension in my shoulders, so I'm going to really feel into the bounce there. Jiggly wiggly arms. Let those jiggly bits jiggle. All right, through my neck, my face. Can I somehow jiggle the bones in my skull? Just theories. What we're doing is moving the fluid found in fluid spaces in the body. We're circulating, cycling, recycling, moving, right? The thing about anger, it loves to get stuck. And then just like putting a plug, in a flowing water, it backs up. And then like a volcano, because it's got some flamey energy to it, right? It's the mother of fire. Wood and fire have a very deep and important relationship in the 5-phase model. Wood fuels fire. So if we get some nice dried out wood, too backed up wood, we get forest fire. So how can we honor the fact that the anger of grief is a natural and very important phase of grief? How can we honor that? How can we express that? How can we help it move? Well, we said its expression is shouting. Are we shouting right now? No, we're like doing some kind of like flowy, watery, jiggly thing, right? So it's not just the shouting. Now, start to slow down and come to a stop and just feel. Feel the result of jiggling and wiggling for a minute. Lots of tinglies. Fluid flow, sense of movement all around the body. You don't have to imagine it. It's happening. Just bring your mind inside the body and feel. That is the feeling of energy, life force energy flowing in the body. What does it feel like when in particular wood energy is backed up in the body? We feel like we can't move in the world and that we're frozen to respond, right? Side lateral movement to get out of the way or quick thinking. So maybe you've had a grief experience where you've had like also super slow processing, mental processing, where you're just like, I can't take it in and like give you the answer right away. So even just something like this, you could be like, hang on, give me a minute. Sometimes I'm pumping my gas, and I was like, do a minute of this and just really, I'm gonna let that circulation flow. Okay, let's play with a little bit more vocalization. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna need to bend our knees, right? Because we want to generate this sound from like way down in the belly, right? Sometimes we say belly and people think up here, they think stomach, right? What we're talking about is like low. As low as you can go. So I want you to remember that intonation that we played with. So you're just going to inhale. This is going to sound kind of mammalian, like of the sound of mammals, right? Or if you've ever experienced childbirth or been in the room with someone, birthing a baby, like when they are using their expression, verbal expression efficiently, the tone is very low. Hollywood gets it all wrong. Like you're not like, up here, super inefficient. Like that's the lady who's, that's the birthing person who's voice is gone the next day. As a doula, what we do is we encourage people to get really low. So what I want you to do is like generate this sound from down in the belly. Take a deep breath. And just like let it come out as it is. It's not about making a pretty sound. Yeah, like that. Now, you got a range. If you're feeling like you want to add a little bit, I don't want to use the word force, maybe something like more effort, like there is something that you really want to just kind of root up and out. You take a few rounds and let it come up and out. So if you've been in, some of you may have like joined this workshop today because you're like, anger, yes, top of the list. Frustration, that's me, So really give it a go. Now, I didn't tell my neighbors what I was doing today, so this should be a good one. Let's take maybe just 3 to 5 rounds if you've taken a pause. Try to keep it a little low. Try to keep the intonation a little bit low, because if you go high, you're going to strain the throat. Sounds a little like childbirth, right? So, and so then just feel. What is it, just do like 3. What does it feel like? So right now what I feel is a little bit of lightness in my heart region. Like a lifting. I don't feel too heavy down here, like I strained or anything, but in order to access down there, we want to be a little bit deep. We want to be a little bit rooted, right? So feel free to pop into the chat your own experiences with shouting business there. I'm going to move us just into these 5 elemental stretches. So at any time, just if you got a little feedback on shouting or what you felt or observed in your body, feel free to pop that in. Let's review 2 stretches, a new one and the one from last week. So last week's one, I have a scarf with me here so I can show the variation. Lung and large intestine. This is across the chest. So basically the movement is opening, extending, and obviously we also want to be breathing. We can get a little bit fancier, interlacing the thumb, folding 4 fingers, stretching through the index finger. It's not a have to, it's just like, a little cherry on top. Could be that we're going to interlace the thumbs behind, a little bit of space between the feet. Inhale, stretching through the index finger. Exhale, fold forward. Stretch through the index fingers. It's not about like how high you can get the hands. It's more about feeling the openness through the chest, going all the way down the arms through the index fingers. 3 breaths there. Let's say we're not grabbing the hands behind. We need space. Take as much space as you need. A little bit of space. More space. Breathe in. Exhale forward. Breathe into the chest. Now, if you've had your thumbs wrapped, come up, switch, head back down. Breathe in. Exhale forward fold. Deep breaths. Inhale as you come up to avoid dizzy. Take a breath at the top. Feel where that channel resides, lung, large intestine. Feel. What are you feeling for? Remember what it felt like when we did that jiggly wiggly stuff. That felt sense of movement, of activation. That's what we're going for. Now, we're switching to our wood stretch. We're going to come back down to the floor, and we're going to come into a wide leg stance. You are more than welcome to have something under the bum. That may make this pose a little more appetizing. You don't have to go very wide. I'm not saying I'm very wide, but just saying some of us are hypermobile and are able to really bring the legs wide. Not the point here. Just activation, liver stretch. We'll breathe in, take ourselves just enough forward to feel those inner thighs activate. Your neck will prefer you to keep your chest forward and breathe. Bring the mind here. You might still be feeling lots of things from those vocalization practices. Right now I'm feeling like, ooh, lots of things coming up through the neck. One more breath. Okay, now we want to get that gallbladder channel, that outside body. So this is going to be some kind of classic side lateral bending. Breathe in, stretch up. Breathe out. I'm going to bring my right arm down and stretch over to the right with my left arm. Breathe. Where are you breathing to? Side body. And wow, look how much that side body is open and exposed right now. This could also be supportive with this arm up here. Let's inhale back up to center. Exhale, opposite side. That channel runs through the side of the neck as well. So I'm just also feeling a little bit into the side of my neck, the side of my head. This channel has a lot to do potentially with headaches, especially headaches that are experienced in the sides of the head, kind of that classic headache pattern. Some of these things that we're doing here could be really helpful for that pathology as well. No guarantees, but just came to mind, so I thought I would share. Inhale back up. Exhale down. Now feel that gallbladder field. Feel the fascial field of the liver channel. And then where I want to invite you to go here is back into a reclined position or any position that would be relaxing. And we can do a few minutes of processing. Right. So this also is a very important part of what we're role modeling here. We can do things that are stimulating, right? We can move the chi, we can, right, get things going. There must be a period of restfulness that follows. So, you're laying on your back, potentially, on your side. Maybe reclined with pillows. Maybe you throw a blanket over your body. And in this space, just kind of putting a little soundscape on in the background. And in this space, just feeling, just arriving. And then friends who have control of the PowerPoint, if you wouldn't mind throwing up the PowerPoint slide that has poetry on it. Thank you so very much. So much of the grief processing space needs to be both about rest and reflection. And I find that poetry can be an amazing tool of expression and reflection, speaking to the art of life, sometimes the ironies, the contradiction, the paradoxes. Grief has been presented to us as something that is simply just meant to be gotten through, just done. Grief is often put on a timetable, another box to check, and it really couldn't be farther from the truth. That grief, the experience of grief, helps us access our superpowers, our ability to expand, transform, grow in newer and newer ways through the experience of loss. And so here we are for a few minutes, cultivating a space of restfulness. Should it delight you, feel free to close your eyes, to bring yourself into this present moment, a soothing balm to follow the turbulent waters that it can be to express emotion. The great poet Rumi shared his experience of grief in these short words. I plant some flowers without you. They become thorns. I see a peacock. It turns into a snake. I play the harp. Nothing but noise. I go to the highest heaven. It is a burning hell. Strong imagery, strong feelings. And just giving yourself permission to experience your own strong feelings. Your own experiences of pleasant and unpleasant feelings at the same time. This body, this vessel, on its way to a space of restfulness, just feel the whole backside of the body and all the points that the backside of the body connect to, and now feel the front side of the body. Feel the whole right side of the body. And feel the whole left side of the body, your body. Feel the feet and below the feet. And then take yourself up and feel the crown of the head. This body, your sacred vessel of wholeness and completeness. Your emotions do not make you weak. Your emotions make you strong. The expression of your emotion makes you even stronger. Here in the expression of restfulness, of healing and repair, I share these words of reflection by the great poet Khalil Gibran, an excerpt from his very well-known book, The Prophet. And a woman spoke, saying, "Tell us of pain." And he said, "Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Even as the stone of the fruit must break, that its heart may stand in the sun, so must you know pain. And could you keep your heart in wonder at the daily miracles of your life, your pain would not seem less wondrous than your joy. And you would accept the seasons of your heart, even as you have always accepted the seasons that pass over your fields. And you would watch with serenity through the winters of your grief. Much of your pain is self-chosen. It is the bitter potion by which the physician within you heals your sick self. Therefore, trust the physician and drink his remedy in silence and tranquility. For his hand, though heavy and hard, is guided by the tender hand of the unseen. And the cup he brings, though it burn your lips, has been fashioned of the clay which the potter has moistened with his own sacred tears. Let's take in a last breath here. Bringing yourself back to more of an outward orientation, wiggling toes, stretching, making your way back to seated. We will conclude our relaxation here as well as this second session on the anger of grief as we continue to build our next session in another 2 weeks on the worry of grief, the earth phase expression of grief. Thank you all for listening and participating. I'll hand that back over to Kathy.
Thank you, Yoli. Thank you for the journey. Thank you for the wisdom. Thank you for the wholeness of the presentation. And thank you everybody for being here today. Yoli's putting where you can find her on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and follow her. Andrew has launched the poll. If you could fill it out before you leave, that would be great. And we look forward to seeing you again. We're here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. This week we have an all-staff day on Friday, so we won't have a webinar on that day. But tomorrow, Lori Myron Manbeck is going to be here talking about a sustainability challenge. And Danielle Asher will be here on Wednesday with family engagement, the missing link to school reform. And then Robin and I are going to hold space for a session on navigating challenging conversations at work and at home. So thank you all for being here. Play with us and do a little bit of what would you like to amplify from today's session? What are you taking away? One word that you put with the hashtag amplify. Hashtag amplify. Serenity, Hilda says. Grief. Where is the site for the handouts? It's our amplify relaxation, Elda said. Janine says hashtag amplify calm. Dustin, hashtag amplify peace. It's so interesting, Yoli, that with anger, we're getting these calm peace. You know, that's, you know, with the
I said express.
Express, yeah. Like, I guess to me, what was really very powerful is also I think I didn't understand why would be the phase for anger. I think of fire as being, but when you said that wood is the mother of fire, and when you described how anger can block everything else, can kind of like shut it down like a piece of wood inside of you, you know, and I was thinking of gallstones also. I know you said it's not limited to the organ, it's the channel is more important, but like think what happens with gallstones, right? Like they block you, they block it up. So you gotta, Yoli, vocalize, hashtag amplify vocalize.
But,
Hashtag amplify, let it out.
it's true,
And
Kathy. We're not talking pathology right now, but liver bile.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So what happens when you get like insanely angry and that bile backs up,
right.
or all of a sudden like it comes down the chute, kind of thing. So, oh yeah.
Yeah, hashtag amplify expression. Yeah, I mean, a key teaching today is let it out, express it, move it. Like get yourself moving, get the anger moving throughout the anger of grief moving through your body so that you can get to that place of relaxation and peace.
Yeah.
And thank you everybody for being here. Wear your mask. This is Andrew in the background and his lovely wife Michelle, who's an ICU nurse, and they're wearing the Be Strong Families masks. We hope that they exemplify your values. You can support us by purchasing them on the website. And finally, if you have, Andrew says she loves wearing her Amplify mask when we're out and about. Yes. Well, obviously she has to wear more robust PPE when she's in the intensive care unit, for sure. Uh, you're welcome, Wanda. Thank you for being here. And if you want to hold space for conversation or you want to host a webinar with us, just contact me and we'll make it happen. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Yoli. See you in